What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel here. I hope you're having an amazing day. Guys, if you can do me a favor, we just hit 2,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Give yourself a round of applause. If you've been here quite a while, shout out to you. If you're a new viewer, welcome in. This is Lake Pro Tackle. We are a fishing tackle store here in North Texas. If you aren't in the Texas area, don't worry. We've got a huge selection. All our products are going to be online, lakeprotackle.com. This little video here is going to be a winter tip video. So I've chosen out some of my favorite techniques here in the wintertime. We're going to talk about the bait and the bougie. So I've picked out a bunch of the baits where we have equivalent, let's say models of, or styles of different baits. And I've picked out some that are on the less expensive end and then some that are on the more expensive end. And we're gonna get into why some of those more expensive ones are better. Maybe get into some that are, some personally that I think are better than the expensive ones, or maybe just a better bang for the buck. I do also want to say, if you joined us for our first live podcast, the Backlash Live on the Big Bass Streams channel, thank you for hopping in. Guys, we're going to try to run these every Tuesday on the Big Bass Streams YouTube page. It's going to be super awesome. We do giveaways. We talk about a whole lot of stuff. Try to get the backlashes out. We talk about controversy. It's a really good time, so definitely hop in there. And we're, of course, going to have special guests time to time. So definitely hop on there. Speaking of Big Bass Streams, guys, we are now an authorized dealer of Big Bass Streams merch. We got plenty of hats here. We got beanies in the Dream series here. We got them in the Big Bass Streams as well, like that. We got bomber jackets. We've just about got their entire inventory on our store here, so definitely check out all the cool stuff from Big Bass Streams, as well as all their collaboration baits, such as the Golden Belt Customs, Gancraft, and so much more. So definitely check out all the cool stuff going on from Big Bass Streams. You know, we love to have the opportunity to be working with them. John Shin is a trophy bass hunter here in Texas, going for a 7-pound smallmouth. So definitely keep up with the stuff we're doing on the Big Bass Streams channel for the live streams. Tuesday, 7 o'clock Central Time. We're going to be going live there. So let's go ahead and kick it off. Again, guys, this again is going to be a little spread in front of me. Some of my favorite techniques in the wintertime. I've got the bait itself and I've got the bougie, which is going to be a upgraded version of that bait most of the time. So we're going to talk about some of the soft plastics first. I really just chose soft plastics specifically because there is, I chose mainly hard baits because there is a big degree of difference between different hard baits. Soft baits, it's harder to do. There's less of a price jump between the two. So that's why I don't have as many plastics here, but we're going to definitely break down kind of how I break down the water in the wintertime. Now, of course, weather is getting colder, water temps are dropping, the fish are going to be setting in for winter. So that means their metabolisms are slowing down. They don't want to chase because it is cold. So if you have forward-facing sonar or you're utilizing forward-facing sonar, this can be an amazing time of the year for you to go out and just catch a bunch of fish because they are very opportunistic. If something swims by them, they are more than likely just going to eat it out of pure hunger reaction. Something in their brain tells them to just eat it because it's swimming right next to them. They don't have to work for it. But if you are a pond hopper or a bank beater on lakes or anything like that, this is going to be great for you as well. We're going to talk about a bunch of baits that you definitely do not need forward-facing sonar for. When I was in high school and college, I was shore banging all the time. I was taking like 2 or 3 rods with me, and most of these baits were in like a little backpack or like a little tackle box I'd carry around, and I could catch fish all year round on a lot of the just regular baits here, you know, not the bougie ones, but just most of these baits right in front of me are going to be exact baits that I caught plenty of fish on in the wintertime without a boat, without forward-facing sonar. We're going to hop into that here. So kicking it off, guys, you know, one of my first picks of, you know, any area that I'm at is going to be like a Ned rig. Now the Ned rig, very simple, plain and simple, guys. It's just a piece of plastic on a jig head. It doesn't have to be something like a TRD or something like this. That's just a stick. Now this is just like a little stick bait. Of course, you know, Z-Man plastic to have the Elastec technology on it to where you can stretch it out, catch millions and millions, I don't know about millions, but, you know, hundreds of fish on Z-Man plastic. And it's super amazing. You know, the Z-Man formula in the Elastec is very buoyant, so it floats really well and really enhances a Ned rig. So especially in colder temperatures, a lot of the time you don't want a lot of action. And what I mean by that is going to be your ambient action that the bait creates. So you're talking about like a Ned rig like this compared to maybe something like the Bougie, which is going to be the Ned Bomb by Missile Baits. So the Ned Bomb here has a whole lot more action to it. It's not exactly a full stick bait, and I guess I could have done something like the Zoom equivalent of this and actually put it, I guess, lower on the tier list because it does cost less than this here. But another great Ned rig bait in the wintertime is going to be this Ned Bomb. Now it has a little bit more action thanks to this little quiver tail on the back. But you know, in the wintertime, this is such a small profile. It is amazing at just getting bites. You throw it out on like a 1/8 ounce or 1/4 ounce jig head, little tiny hook on there, and you can have a ton of fun. I've caught so many fish on the Ned Bomb and on this little finesse TRD plenty of times. You can even upgrade a little bit if you do want to try to go for a little bigger class of fish, or you think they're eating bigger forage in your body of water. So this guy here, finesse TRD, regular TRD, awesome options. Another great one, the Ned Bomb. You can take Senkos, cut them in half. Guys, if you don't want to go out and buy specific plastics for Ned rigs, go out and just cut some Senkos apart. You can use little craws. You can use a whole wide range of different things. Now, on the topic of things that I like to let and sit in the water, I really enjoy throwing ball head finesse jigs. Now the two I have here, the first one is going to be the Sandtone ball head finesse jig. This is the Texas finesse jig. It actually comes 2 in a pack. And what's super awesome about this one here is it comes in 3 different sizes, 3/16 to 7/16, with 5/16 being in the middle here. This is great for just dragging around rock. You can work this around brush piles. Its weed guard is great. The hook is very, very strong. I believe it is a 3/0 Gamakatsu hook on here, so super strong hook. Comes in a wide variety of colors. And you can actually match this jig up here with a TRD or a Ned rig style bait, something that doesn't have a ton of action in the wintertime, and you can get a lot more bites. The way I like to work these finesse jigs is I throw it out there, 12 to 15 pound line on a bait caster, and I like to have around 12-pound line on a spinning rod to a 10 or 15 pound braided line. Now I really just let these sit on the bottom, not doing much. I'm gonna let it sit for around 30 seconds to a minute. Really just let it sit and soak down there in the water. Adding scent definitely helps a lot too. You know, I let it just sit there and marinate. Once I figure that I'm not gonna get any, you know, maybe bites in that specific spot, I'm gonna move it forward about 5 to 6 to 7 foot, right? Not too far to where you're gonna miss out on fish, but just far enough to where they can sense that bait, feel it out, and it might get in their little territorial ring and they'll go and eat it. So one of the ones that, again, I've used for quite a long time is this little Sandtone Texas finesse jig. Now, to upgrade on that finesse jig there, this one here is the Picasso Little Spotty, and it's a tungsten ball head finesse jig. Now, you don't see a ton of tungsten jigs out there on the market, or you didn't a couple years ago in the past like 5 years, but now you're seeing a huge influx of tungsten jigs. Now, Kitech has a great one. Of course, Picasso. Strike King came out with their flipping jigs in a tungsten version, and there's a whole lot more on the market. I know like Wood Tungsten has some, Wicked Weights has some, and it's starting to become a big trend now to use smaller and smaller jig heads. It's less of a presence, and you get a little more sensitivity from that tungsten being a lot denser in the water, and it translates a lot better in the colder water as well as the hot water. So again, same exact setup, guys. I'm going to be using that 12 to 15 pound line. And for rods, you don't need anything super, super powerful. The hooks on both these here, you can use a medium heavy, something with a little bit less backbone in it, and you're still going to get a good hook in them. I highly recommend, though, one of my favorite rods for this, just so I can get some really good casting distance and I can get a good secure hook set and bring in a lot of line, is going to be around a 7'2" to 7'3" to 4-ish medium heavy rod. And that's going to be more of a medium heavy rod, where it has a good amount of backbone, but it does have a good amount of bend all the way through the rod to make sure you keep these fish pinned in the wintertime. And that's one of the biggest issues that I find a lot of people having in the wintertime, is that they catch, or they hook up to fish, but either that fish shakes the lure or it just pulls off. And a lot of that stems from not getting a good hook in that fish. So make sure it has enough backbone to actually drive the hook into the mouth, and also enough give in there to make sure they're not shaking it and keeping them pinned. So again, Sandtone Texas Finesse Jig and Little Spotty by Picasso. Great options if you are finding the fish closer to the bottom. Next one up, let's go ahead and talk about another piece of hardware here that isn't exactly a hard bait, like a hard plastic bait. So let's go ahead and talk about the A-rig. Now, you see people all the time. If you're on social media, you watch the guides, you watch people out at clear water reservoirs, even dirtier reservoirs, guys. The A-rig can be super effective. It is banned in Bassmaster Elite Series tournaments, banned in Bass Pro Tour events. You can use what's called like BFL rigs, where you only have like 3 or 1 hook on an A-rig in some of the other like AAA tournaments. But realistically speaking, guys, if you're not doing that, you don't have to worry about it. So make sure to follow your state guidelines on how many hooks you can have on the bait. Here in Texas, we can have all 5. I know a couple states that you can only have 1. I know some that you can only have 3 wires. So make sure you're following your state regulations or even water body regulations on what you can do with an A-rig. Now, I've done several videos, so I'm not going to talk about how I set the A-rig up, but I'm definitely going to try to put a little card in one of the corners here that show you a video on how I like to set mine up specifically. But what I like to do with these here, the Yum I have thrown quite a long time. I've thrown this since I first started fishing. I got a couple of them, didn't know exactly what I was doing. I was putting EWG hooks on here, you know, real heavy EWG hooks, and it just didn't work out. So I typically go with the ball head, but you can throw this out. Really, really simple in ponds and stuff. I really love this ultralight one by Yum. And another great one to just get more bites in the wintertime is going to be a finesse style A-rig. Now, the most bougie one we have, the most expensive one we have in the finesse version is going to be the Picasso Lures finesse A-rig right here, guys. Comes in a bunch of different blade patterns, comes in a bunch of different sizes, but the finesse one in the wintertime can be extremely, extremely effective. Now, the wires on here connecting to the head are very, very durable. I like it a little more than the ultralight by Yum. Another great option is going to be a middle tier option is going to be the Shane's Baits Mini Blades of Glory. I have caught tons and tons of fish on that. Boat flipped, 4 5-pound smallmouth and largemouth on it as well. And these guys aren't going to break on you, which is the benefit of paying a little bit more for a longer lasting product. Now, the baits I really run on these are going to be just small little 2 to 3 inch swim baits. If you're in a pond or something that, you know, isn't super deep water, guys, throw like little 1/16 or 1/8 ounce heads, or throw dummies on here and just minimize the number of heads you have to 3. And that can be super effective as well. If you're throwing it on a lake with forward-facing sonar, guys, it can be very easy to just drop either one of these on fish's heads. And like I said, they're going to be very, very open to eating whatever you put in their face, especially if you're imitating a bait ball. It can be extremely deadly here. Now, we're moving into the hard bait section here. So let's go ahead and start with one of the techniques that is a little newer to me. I started doing this the past 2 years with the introduction of the IXI shad from Megabass. I didn't know about it. It's been out for quite a while, so don't get me wrong. It's been out for a while. And this is going to be like a finesse cranking bite that I like to personally throw on spinning rods. So if you're someone that doesn't like throwing casting gear, I get it. It can be difficult at times. Maybe you aren't using the right reels for a specific technique, especially if you're trying to throw real light lures like this for finesse cranking. So definitely feel free to throw it on a spinning rod. We do have a huge selection of reels, as you can see from Shimano right behind me. We have Daiwa, Abu Garcia, Luz. Give us a holler, give us a call, email, DM on social media, whatever, and we'll definitely get you set up with whatever you need. But here we go. So starting it off, I talked about the IXI in several videos already, this is going to be in that finesse cranking category. Another great one is going to be the Shad Wrap by Rapala, and this guy right here, You can crank it down, work it like a little finesse jerk bait, and it does everything pretty similar to something like the IXI. I would say the IXI is a little more of a cranking style finesse crankbait. It's got little flat sides, and it has a very, very tight wobble in the winter. Now, when you get to the tighter wobble, we're going to talk about it in the next bait series here, but I really love that tighter wobble that you can get out of each of these finesse crankbaits. And again, you can throw it on spinning gear, which is super amazing. Got a whole bunch of different colors in these, different sizes in the shad wraps. We got the 6, the 5s, I think the 4s, maybe the 7s, 9s. Got a whole bunch in the shad wraps. Now the IXIs come in 2 sizes, the Type 3 and the TX. We're almost out. I think we're actually out of TXs, which dive a little bit deeper around that 12 to 13 foot. The Type 3s go around your 7 to 9 foot range, which is really, really good. Now this here, the Type 3, you can work really, really well in your ponds, especially if you do have a little bit deeper ponds. I would watch out for some of your real shallow ones, like your golf course ponds, guys. Those aren't super deep all the time, so be careful. If you are fishing the ponds and bank beating and stuff, the shad wrap, right here, this is actually super effective at the ponds, and I caught tons of fish on these here. I actually got a couple of these from one of the guys at the church, and I didn't even know what they were. All the paint was like rubbed off on it, and it was just like bone white, and I caught tons of fish on the shad wrap. I didn't even know what it was exactly until I started working here. Funny of me, but you know. There you go. We got the shad wrap, guys, finesse cranking deal, and the IXI shad. Again, the bougie one right here. The IXI is going to be right at that $20 mark, but I've caught some magnum fish, especially when other people aren't catching them on the IXI. Next up, guys, tight wiggle. We're going to talk about some crankbaits. Now, some of my favorite in the wintertime, guys. Again, another Rapala. Right here, this is a DT10. It's a great overall depth. It's a little bit bigger profile in the wintertime. Those fish, again, are going to be chasing some of those bigger gizzard shad around. They don't want to exert a lot of energy for their meals, so the crawfish are a great one. If you notice on your fish's mouths, if you're catching fish right now, a lot of their mouths are going to be red. Now, that doesn't directly translate to them eating crawfish all the time. That just happens when it's cold, but crawfish is a very easy forage for them to pick out, especially when the water gets cold. If the crawfish is out of its burrow in the wintertime, it's a very, very easy meal because it is slow moving. It is it's very directly coordinated to that the water temp. So when it's cold, the crawfish barely move around, and if they're out of the burrow, it's just an easy meal for that bass to come by, slurp up, and there you go. So crawfish patterns in the wintertime in the crankbaits. This guy right here has a very tight wobble, a very finessey wobble, catches fish all year round in terms of just the bait itself. The color here, the one that I usually go with is that dark brown crawdad or even a demon. If I notice, a lot of those fish's mouths are bright, bright red all the way through, not just the lips or the crushers, but all the way through. If their mouth is red, I will throw that demon color. Now, to bougie-fy it, the rock crawler MD, not MD, sorry, the rock crawler 55, this thing is going to get down to around 9 to 14 foot. So kind of the low or the high of the Rapala here, or Rapala, and then you can get around 14. So typically, if I'm throwing this on 12-pound line, I'm going to get this around to 10 to 11 foot. And this guy right here, you can get around the same thing if you're throwing 10-pound test line. Fluorocarbon, but this one here, again, has a great tight, finessey wobble to it. If you're throwing this around areas where other people are throwing, I guarantee you will get some more bites compared to your competitors out there. This color here specifically is going to be Delta Craw. It's a great color in the springtime. We've got some more colors in your more orange and almost tan, kind of like the dark brown crawdad, so definitely check them all out. I hate linking stuff down in the description. I really should do it more, but you know, guys, I'm saying the exact name of this stuff, so just go check it out on the website. Let me know if you do that, find them, and of course, if you order any of these here, we'll, you know, hook you up with some stickers and stuff. Just because I know you watch these videos. So last one up, one of my favorite techniques in the wintertime is the jerk bait. Love the X Pride 6'10". The brand new Daiwa Tatula Elite Rod by Patrick Walters is a 6'10", I believe also. 6'10" is kind of my magic number. 6'11" is very hard to find. It's kind of that middle ground where a lot of people don't really throw a 6'11", but I do love a 6'11". It has a little extra length for easier casting, and you have a little more bend to keep those fish pinned through the fight. So, kicking it off, guys, this one right here, the ripstop has not been around for a super long time compared to this next one here, but the ripstop is a great option in the wintertime. If you're shore banging, pond hopping, this one right here is awesome. It doesn't dive that deep at all. This one here, I think it's down to around 3 or 4 foot if you're using very, very light line. This is a ripstop 9, by the way. Any shad pattern will do. Silver's just kind of your go-to Rapala color. But guys, when you're working this, throw it out there. Get it down to where you want it, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 pops. Let it just sit. As it starts to go up, you know, let it sit there for 5, 10 seconds, and then get it back down. Once it comes to the surface, you know for sure. Just keep working it back down. If that's not working, guys, just rip it. Rip it, rip it, rip it, rip it. And this bait here excels at the constant motion, but you can absolutely pause these, and these will just slowly float back up to the surface, and it can be a killer action in the wintertime. So definitely check out the ripstop, and the bougie version is going to be the Lucky Craft Pointer 100, a staple in my tackle box when I actually picked one of these up. This is one of the most expensive purchases I ever made. That for a bait, $15.99 when I was in high school. Looking back on it, $15.99 is almost nothing right now when I'm paying like $300 for glide baits. But you can't argue with the success that anglers have had with this bait here. What's so special about it is it's a 3-hook jerk bait. Now, the Rapala is a 2-hook. I prefer 3 hooks, especially on my 100 size jerk baits here. So we've got some new baits coming in from 6 Sense, the Provoke 97s and the RX and the DD. So those will be in very soon. They are 3-hook as well, and we're gonna see how they compete with the OG Pointer 100 right there. But guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite technique out of all these is here. You got finesse cranking, regular cranking, you got jerk baits, you got Ned rigs, you got finesse jigs, you got A rigs, guys. Check them all out, lakeprotackle.com. Leave a comment down below. Looking forward to it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys.